donning a tilak on his forehead and a sadhu-style white beard, 70-year-old advocate Hari Shankar Jain has a clear life mission.
Take back all temples that were demolished to make mosques.
That could amount to as much as 3,000 mosques across India, and he has filed more than 100 cases for the Hindu cause so far. But where does this dream have its roots? Owing to his frail health in childhood, Hari Shankar was homeschooled by his mother till he was 10 years old. A staunch Hindu, his mother was well versed in the Gita, the Puranas, the Vedas, and every Hindu book, you name it. And she had a dream for his son.
Hari, I want you to become a lawyer and reclaim all the temples that the Mughal rulers demolished in the past to make mosques.
Ignoring the wishes of his rather secular father, who wanted him to pursue civil services, Mama's boy wanted to make his mother's dream a reality and became a lawyer in 1979 expressly to fulfill her wishes. A decade later, when the Allahabad High Court took over all Ayodhya suits pending in the civil court, he knew his time had arrived and became counsel for the Hindu Mahasabha in the Babri Masjid case. Then there was no stopping him. It was after his petition in 1993 that the Faizabad District Court opened the gates of Babri Masjid for Hindus to pray. Joining his mission in recent years is his lawyer son Vishnu Shankar Jain, and both together got the Wazukhana of the Gyanvapi mosque sealed in Varanasi after discovering a fountain-like structure which they claim to be a shivling. Together, they have filed petitions in the Krishna Janmabhoomi Shahi Idgah case in Mathura and have even gone so far as to lay claim on Delhi's Qutub Minar, where they say Hindu and Jain temples were demolished to build the monument. So when Mahant Rishiraj Giri of Kaila Devi temple in UP's Sambhal district visited him a year ago with some documents, he was excited to embark on yet another temple beneath mosque project.
भाई जी, ये संभल के शाही जामा मस्जिद के नीचे तो हरिहर मंदिर था, जो भगवान विष्णु ने खुद बनाया था। ये तो खुशखबरी की बात है। और अभी कौन सा युग चल रहा है? कलयुग। और कलयुग में हरि मंदिर में विष्णु जी का कौन सा अवतार आने वाला है? कौन सा अवतार? ओ, याद आया, कल्कि। शाबाश, ये पुस्तकें आपके लिए। शुरू कर दीजिए पढ़ाई।
While Hari Shankar began his research and evidence collection, Mahant Giri, along with his international Harihar Sena, went from village to village, making Hindus aware of the Harihar temple that once existed. And after a year, in the precincts of Mahant Giri's Kaila Devi temple, Hari Shankar conceived the arguments in his petition. He and his supporters then waited for an auspicious time and atmosphere, and at sharp 12 p.m. on November 19th, Hari Shankar's team filed the petition in Sambhal's Chandausi court, citing several historical texts such as the Babarnama, the Akbarnama, and an old archaeological survey report in Urdu that dated back to 1876. And unlike several cases that get endlessly delayed in lower courts, this one proceeded with an electrifying speed, as Hari Shankar's son Vishnu wanted to conduct the survey before the news of the petition spread. We need to be quick. What if some things are displaced inside the mosque? With no objection by the government-appointed lawyer, the civil judge permitted the inspection that very afternoon. And within 3 hours of the court order, before anyone knew what was happening, a survey was conducted at Sambhal's Shahi Jama Masjid by evening. It was only 5 days later when the team arrived again at the mosque for a second survey, along with security and a group of Hindu activists.
Jai Shri Ram! Jai Shri Ram!
That news really spread panic among the Muslim-majority town of Sambhal. Fearing another Babri-like debacle, which had started in a similar way, large crowds of Muslims began gathering around the Jama Masjid, pelting stones at the police and survey team as they went about their work. They in turn allegedly retaliated, and the violence led to 5 young men dying of bullet injuries in the ensuing firing. One was not even part of the protest. He was just on his way to buying cooking oil from a nearby Kirana shop. Interestingly, Sambhal's Shahi Jama Masjid was declared a protected monument by the Archaeological Survey of India during British rule in 1920. But what is the history of the mosque? And will the recent Supreme Court order staying any more mosque surveys cool down communal tension? We'll tell you. But before that, like, subscribe, comment and share. Nearly 500 years ago, on April 21st, 1526, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi, the then Sultan of Delhi, in the First Battle of Panipat, and took under his control most of northern India, including the district of Sambhal, situated in western Uttar Pradesh, close to the border of Haryana. Mir Hindu Beg Kuchin, one of the most trusted nobles in Babur's court, who had accompanied him from Kabul, built the Shahi Jama Masjid in Sambhal the same year, the oldest surviving mosque of the Mughal era today. One of only 3 mosques built in Babur's reign that survived into modern times. The others being the now demolished Babri Masjid and the Kabuli Bagh Masjid in Panipat. 3 centuries later, in 1878, a group of Hindus filed a title suit in the Muradabad court and an appeal in the Allahabad High Court stating, Harihar Mandir of Lord Vishnu used to exist here before this masjid. Their evidence? A chain hanging from the mosque's dome that used to hold the temple bell. That the rubble of the temple was used to build the mosque. That the columns of the mosques resemble the temples. And that a path of parikrama exists inside the mosque. The then first assistant of the Archaeological Survey of India, ACL Carlisle, filed a report which concurred. The large brick stones that were used to build the temple were coated with plaster by the Muslims to conceal the temple's existence. However, his senior, the then Director General of ASI, Sir Alexander Cunningham, disagreed with his assistant, on the basis of which the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court, Sir Robert Stewart, rejected the Hindus' claims and dismissed the petition. Since then, no claim was registered over the mosque. In the early 1990s, when Ayodhya's Babri Masjid was still standing and the Ram Janmabhoomi-Babri Masjid movement was at its peak with L.K. Advani's Rath Yatra, rising communal tensions triggered a bill introduced by the then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao's Congress government that was debated for 8 hours in Parliament in 1991 before being successfully passed as the Places of Worship Act. The Act declared that the religious character of any place of worship will continue to be the same as it was on the day of India's independence. The only exception to this law was Babri Masjid, as it had already been contested for before the Act came into existence. The Supreme Court even upheld the Act in its 2019 Ayodhya judgment. Courts cannot entertain claims that stem from actions of Mughal rulers against Hindu places of worship today. However, when a similar mosque-atop-temple case of Varanasi's Gyanvapi reached the Supreme Court in May 2022, then Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud allowed an archaeological survey to take place. There could be no conversion of the place, but the structure's original character could always be determined, and thus reopen the genie of communal majoritarianism that was pushed back in the bottle by the Places of Worship Act. Lower courts were quick to exploit this loophole in granting surveys of mosques in response to petitions from Hindu groups. And the genius behind all these petitions? Advocate Hari Shankar Jain. Jain is so dedicated to his mission that when he had a serious asthmatic attack in 2013, fearing he would not survive for long, he called his son to his hospital bed. Beta, don't forget to send a notice of the Tiliwali Masjid case. We cannot afford to miss the deadline. Referring to yet another mosque in Lucknow, which he claims was built after destroying a group of Lakshman Tila temples. Magically, Hari Shankar did survive the attack and the father-son duo continued their lifelong temple run. But the new Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna's order to stay all such petitions may burst Hari Shankar's dream, till we decide on the validity of 2019's Places of Worship Act. But will the present BJP government defend a Congress law? Would they be nudged by RSS patriarch Mohan Bhagwat's recent attack on this trend? If a crow sits on a temple, can it become an eagle? In effect saying that just about anybody digging up this issue is not enough to make them a Hindu leader. Maybe Bhagwat is also signaling to the top court in which direction they should rule. Baseball's Limerick. Places of worship face a challenge anew as fresh temple under mosque controversies brew. The right to reclaim is a zero-sum game where winner takes all in a legal coup.